don't mean to be so projecting. When I get jealous, the secret that I've been hiding, it was an accident. Maybe one day you'll know me. Will you come back again? Ooh. You're a woman, but you're walking on water, on eggshells, on thin ice, and on coals that get hotter. You're a meltdown, failing to force that frown to turn around, frustrated, just waiting for someone to take it. Darling, I love you, but I don't know what to do when you deserve the whole bed to yourself. Do you miss dreaming in silence? Do you miss dozing alone, or rest on the edge to give you your distance? I'm not scared of your problems. I'm here to help you solve. If you are running from something, I'll remind you to walk. If you've got dust on your feature, then I'll brush it off. I really think that I could treat you if you've got time to talk. You're a big plan kind of girl. I'm just wondering what it is that you're looking for. Is it adventure? Is it secret treasure? I won't judge, I'm really just curious, baby. I might say the wrong things. I can be so selfish. I don't mean to be so projecting. When I get jealous, the secret that I've been hiding, iodine. It was an accident. Maybe one day you'll know me. Will you come back again? Ooh.
Are we live, Facebook Nation? Are we live and live? This doesn't seem to be working, but I believe. Are we live again, Facebook? I think we are. Hello, Facebook. Renee Audette and I are going to give you just a minute or two to join in, because I know lots of people are excited about this live stream with Renee Audette here in her solo exhibition. Are you excited, Renee?
Oh, I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me.
I think it's going to be really good. It's a cold, icy, snowy day in Billings, and we can't wait to get started. All right. Perhaps we should begin. We'll start slow so that if people start joining over the first few minutes, they will just miss our hellos.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Hello.
Hello, Renee.
Hello. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
Good.
We're right here by the poster for your solo exhibition, Renee Audette Retrospective. How long have you been creating artwork?
Probably about 23 years. Yeah.
Oh, and what do you think the oldest piece is that's in here with us tonight?
The oldest piece that is in here is from 1998.
Oh, okay. So we'll kind of get to see how your work changes and grows over time. Pretty excited about that. All right. So should we get started? Take a walk around? Take a look at your work?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, we're going to start right here. And so I'm always curious, Renee, about the blend of pieces you sculpt and pieces that you've like cast from found objects. Could you kind of explain how that works?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy both processes. So I really like the hand sculpting, and then I also really like the technical aspect of casting something from a mold. I enjoy tedious activities. I find it to be very zen, and so sometimes it's really great to be able to step back from the process of sculpting something from hand and being able to do the more technical process of creating a mold and then pouring it into the mold. It's also very satisfying to see everything coming out exactly the same and exactly the way you want it to be, because that doesn't always work with hand building.
Mm-hmm. And this is a ceramic piece? Is it porcelain? Is it, what type of ceramics is it?
It's a low fire. It's an earthenware. Yeah.
So all the pieces of this are low fire earthenware?
Yes.
And did you create this when you were at Archie Bray?
Yeah, I did. Mm-hmm.
And did you have sort of access to unlimited equipment there?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was wonderful in that way. Beautiful space. It had just been, the building that I was in, I believe it had just been rebuilt the year before. So it was a completely new building. The space was wonderful. The equipment was amazing. It was like anything and everything that a ceramic artist could want.
And did you come into Archie Bray with some ideas of what you wanted to do, or did you just exist in there and get inspired?
No, I definitely came in with ideas of what I wanted to do. Yeah. Yeah.
And what is this piece about?
Well, it's about the idea of basically like not fitting in, you know? Everything is the same, and then like you feel like you're different, or not accepted in the same way, and sort of the kind of angst that comes from those feelings, which I think we've all felt at some point.
I like kind of how her shirt is like riding up a little bit, so her back is sticking out, like that awkwardness, that uncomfortable kind of aspect of.
Absolutely. I think a lot of it is about exposure, you know. So I think very hard about areas that I want to expose on a piece, or how I want to clothe them to communicate that vulnerability.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of vulnerability in your work,
Yeah.
but often juxtaposed in sort of a lighthearted way.
For sure. That's sort of what it's all about, you know? It's like we all feel exposed. And then there's this humor. And it's kind of that balance and that contradiction that's interesting to me.
Well, let's come on over around the side, since there's a lot of work. Tonight at Kirks, we have quite a few chords, and I think I've reached the end of my chord. So I have reached the end of my chord. So it's a perfect opportunity, I think, to focus on this piece right here, Renee. What do you think?
Sure. That would be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. So this piece seems totally different in the materials and in the approach. What's the title of this piece?
Bunny and Butterflies, just because I didn't know what else to call it.
So Bunny and Butterflies. And how did you create the butterflies?
They're paper, like cardstock, and then I painted them. Yeah.
And is this when you first started to combine sort of that framed two-dimensional aspect of things with 3D, or had you already been working that way?
No, I had already been working that way. This is actually from this year.
Oh,
So,
this piece is from this year.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's great. And I feel like you have a few pieces that show sort of a cityscape.
Yeah.
Did you want to talk about that? I feel like some of those cities look like they could be the same type of city or the same city.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure, like, really what to say about that, other than I'm just kind of trying to talk about the idea of the city kind of encroaching on the natural world, you know, where again it's that dichotomy where, you know, something is in the world naturally, and then the city is sort of overwhelming it in a way.
Yeah, that's what I notice every time you have a city. You know, the bright, vibrant colors in a lot of your work is never really in the city buildings or the sky around the cities.
Right.
It's always washed out in gray and kind of, looming over everything.
Right.
Especially in that piece there. Oh, wow. And that piece is from this year. And is the bunny, is that a ceramic bunny, or did you use another medium?
It's clay. It's not ceramic clay, but it is clay, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I don't have direct access to a kiln all the time, and so I've been experimenting with different materials.
Well, speaking of experimenting with different materials, let's see if our cord. Oh, yeah. Why don't we start on the wall and just talk a little bit about this trio right here. The tchotchke unicorns. So I kind of love how the tchotchke unicorns seem to actually have tchotchkes creating their unicorn horns. Is there were there only 3 of these? Did you used to have more in the series, or?
No, there was ever only 3. And I was just really interested in kitsch at the time, you know, and like kitsch culture, and a lot of my inspiration was coming from things that I would find at thrift stores and antique shops, and it was about the idea of objects living their own life and having a past life. And so I would think, whenever I see these things, I always think, where were they before? And where did they live? And what existence did they have? And it's just a crazy, fascinating idea to me. And I don't know why. I was like the little kid that used to, you know, walk down the street and look into, like, see if I could, not in a creepy way, but like, you know, just like see if I could like catch a glimpse of a family having dinner or something through their window, you know, as I was walking down the street, and just think about, what are their lives like? What do they do, you know? And it's the same thing with these kinds of objects. I find them very endearing and nostalgic, and also a little bit haunting in a way, yeah.
And I think when you combine them too, it's a little bit haunting when you combine, you know, some of these tchotchkes to create the horn.
Yeah. They're strange.
Well, and at first I didn't notice, but the manes of each of these unicorns is flocked the right word?
Yeah,
They're like
it's
velvety.
flocking, yeah.
Yeah.
I was very into flocking. I went through a long flocking phase.
Yeah. I feel like they really add that kind of tchotchke element.
Yeah. That was kind of the whole idea, is like everything is going to be over the top, you know? Like I had a friend when I was a little girl who had, I don't know if you've ever seen these things, but it was like a cheap doll head, and then it would be on like a crocheted body, and then it would be like over a Kleenex box or something, and like in the bathroom, like sitting on the back of the toilet, you know?
Yeah, and it's dusty because you leave it back there and you never touch it.
Yeah, and there's no way to properly clean it.
Yeah,
for sure. So it's sort of like that idea, like something like over the top, ridiculous, and tacky.
But I feel like you're also honoring it, like you're honoring the history of all these like tacky items.
Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
And I like how these are unicorns. They're unique and special, but they're a series of unicorns, so they're all the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's back to your whole when there's a group and not one doesn't belong.
Right.
This is a group of everybody belongs and doesn't belong at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I like that. Yeah.
yeah. And also, as we go around, I noticed that there are red dots on most of your work. It's selling like hotcakes. You're going to be everywhere soon. You're going to be in those houses where people are having dinner. And there'll be a unicorn glancing over their shoulder. So we're right here in front of the kitten cake.
Yeah.
And I think you've already been getting a lot of attention for this kitten cake here locally. So were these kittens, these look like you sculpted all these kittens yourself? Or were part of them from a mold, or how did that work?
So how that worked was I sculpted the original kitten by hand, but I didn't want to have to do that 30 times. So then I cut it apart and made a series of simple molds from the parts so that I could adjust the angle of the head, the arms, and the legs so that each would look a little bit different, but I didn't have to go through the same process of hand sculpting it every single time.
And they do look different. Like there's one on its back, and the look on the face looks so different when it's on its back, kind of vulnerable, than the ones that are facing down or look more comfortable.
Right, and I opened some of the mouths, you know, I closed some of the eyes, I just like made little adjustments. But using a mold, that way it's so much easier. You can make it individual still, but it doesn't have to be like this same tedious process of hand sculpting the thing.
And this is all ceramic?
Yes.
And does it come apart at all when you're installing it, or is this one solid piece?
No, it's in 2 parts, actually. I can show you.
Oh, wow.
So
That's kind of magical.
It just sits on the top. So the reason for that is because of issues with shipping things. So I was shipping things to different shows a lot, and I found that it's much more practical to build things in parts and then assemble them, or the gallery would assemble them once they got where they were going, rather than building a solid thing and having to deal with the issues that might come up with that in terms of breaking and whatnot.
And so for the kitten cake, so what inspires you to make a cake of kittens with frosting and strawberries on an elaborate platter?
It's just really my personal sense of humor, I just it's so
it's like you're cracking yourself up with your own jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just my personal brand of humor. It's like something that's adorable, and it's also like incredibly disturbing.
Well, it is, because do you cut into it?
Right.
I mean, how do you serve yourself some kitten cake in a way that doesn't offend PETA? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got a whole wall behind us of a lot of your more recent 2D work, or work that can be mounted on a wall. Mm-hmm. Like, what jumps out at you as something you'd like to share a little bit about for us to start? I like you're cracking yourself up. Your own work cracks yourself up. I love that.
I think I'm just cracking myself up because I'm not sure what to say about this.
Well, so I hadn't seen these pieces before, where you have the hanging bunnies and this beautiful cat here, the cutest kitten. So are these using real photographs or reproductions, or what's happening with the cutest kitten?
They're either real photographs or reproductions. I don't know. I can't remember exactly which I used. Some of the pictures I really had an affinity for, so I would just get a high quality copy made of them so that I could save the original. Others of them are originals. And I went through a phase where I was really interested in using people's faces, like real faces, and incorporating that into my work.
And are they people you know, or are they just found images?
No, they're nobody that I know, and that's very important to me. I don't think I've ever used any images of anyone that I actually know in my work. It's like that sort of mystery. It's like, what life did you live? Like, where were you? Like, who are you? It's the mystery of it that's fascinating to me.
Especially when you use a baby, right? Because where is that baby now?
Right.
What's happening? Yeah.
Well, that baby is like from 1920, so
if that baby's still around, yeah,
that's not a baby anymore.
That's probably not a baby anymore. I hope. Yeah, unless that's another piece you have,
right?
Like 100-year-old baby. And how about some of your 2D work?
Yeah, so I started doing that. It was sort of a weird thing. I think I felt a little bit overwrought, with the work that was more time consuming and a little bit more tedious and slow. And I wanted something that I could just produce quickly and that would still satisfy the desire to be making something. And so that's where I started with that. And I found it very fun and very satisfying, and I just kind of kept going with that for a while. I think I'm about done with that for a little while, though, at this point, yeah.
Yeah, I think if you don't normally work with acrylic paint, I've had that happen too. You work with acrylic paint for a while and everything It dries so fast and it's so ready.
Uh-huh.
And then it's just, there it is. You've completed it so fast. It's so exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Although they still have sort of a steely, cool look to them
Uh-huh.
for being fast and fun and exciting. Right. So, how about, so there's a whole series of these pieces that have been up at Kirks. So, you know, I kind of like the fact that they're 3D, right, with their bellies and their big round faces, but they also have a real flatness. And they hang on the wall. What was like? How did you start making these?
I had a dream. Actually, like a literal dream, like where there were these little creatures with like these checkered bellies, and I was just like, hey, why not?
Wow. Yeah. There isn't another one right by us, but yeah, they do all have checkers on their bellies. Oh wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and then I just started it, and then I just felt like I wanted to make a whole series. I really liked the first one that I made. I thought it was cute and funny, and so then I just kept going.
Yeah, there's so many series that you have, you know, whether they're individual works or whether it's a big installation where you filled it up with a series.
Yeah. I get on tangents.
So let's see if we can come down. I'm interested in this piece here. You know, that you talked about wanting to know the history of things you find. But I feel like this is just so many pieces that you've totally taken to recreate something new. Is this from the Archie Bray, or when did you make this piece?
No, I made this one a little bit later. I started working on these like fragmented pieces when I was doing a visiting artist instructor position for one semester in Panama City, Florida. And I had just become really interested in taking things apart and putting them together in a different way, basically. And so I love these old things, you know, like we were talking about, these things with a history, these things with a past. And I just found a bunch of ceramic objects, and I made an armature out of chicken wire and just got a general shape and idea of what I wanted to create and say with it. And then I just started gluing on these different pieces of ceramic that seemed to fit with my idea, and grouting it, and that's it's sort of like a mosaic of a kind, I guess. And that's also part of a series. There were 3 of them, or there are 3 of them. Yeah, so.
2 other ones out there in the world?
There's one over here.
Oh, okay.
And then the other one is sold and is now in somebody's home, so.
And is this part of that same era?
I think that might have been the thing I created first. That was sort of like a test. I just wanted to see what it was gonna look like, and if I enjoyed the process, and if I liked the end result. Yeah, so I think that was probably the first one.
So let's see if with our setup here, if we can turn around and take a look at this piece. I'll come over here. Because this, to me, it has a different look than your other pieces. You know, in the colors, in the use of metal. Is there writing on the face too?
Yeah. So I was at a quite strange period in my life when that was happening. But I had been crocheting for a long time, and I really got into crocheting metal wire. And that's something I've done in several pieces, actually. But the face is ceramic, and then the objects here, this is blown glass. I did that way back in the day in a short residency, or rather maybe it would be better called a workshop, but I got a scholarship to do a 3-week workshop at Penland, which is in North Carolina, and to do hot glass. And so I created these there and then just didn't really know what I was going to do with them for a long time, and they just hung around. And
That's kind of funny because they're hanging around now
yeah,
too.
they sure are. And then I just incorporated everything.
And with the glass, so did you learn a technique to actually insert items in the hot glass?
No, so when you have a blown glass piece, it'll have like they just have a little hole at the top where they're broken off from the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And so then they just had this existing hole where, I could have used, if I was making a wine glass or like I could have used or making something else, I could have closed off the hole, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But instead, I just took them home as is, and so then I just inserted the different material inside of them.
Yeah, I feel like this one has a totally different feel. You can tell it's your work, but it's metal and fluffy in a more organic way.
Yeah. That's a beaver pelt in there.
Oh, wow.
Or part of one, at least, yeah.
So that's interesting, because so many of these are cute animals created artificially, and then this is a beaver pelt.
I did not kill the beaver. That's not on me.
Totally safe practices here.
It's not on me.
It's not on you. You're the artist. You did not procure this.
I wasn't the executioner.
No. So let's see. We've got a lot right here. Just a minute ago, you had said this was one of the pieces in the series we looked at where you sort of broke apart ceramics and put them back together. When you break these apart and put them back together, are those the original pieces, or are you recreating these pieces? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you just smash something?
Yes.
And then grout it back together?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I have some idea like how I want it to be smashed, but that's also difficult to control, so sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. But like if I want a head or a face of a doll, sometimes I can see where to hit it.
With a hammer, or
I use a hammer. I can see where to hit it so that like the head will pop off,
Wow, I like you've got that skill now where you've got your hammer and you know where to hit a doll. To crack off its head.
Again, it doesn't always work out. But
and then the satisfaction of seeing the head crack off.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And just smashing something in general. It's very satisfying.
And then you put it back together.
Yeah. And so then I just, gather up the bits that I think I'm going to want to use, and I sort them into different containers according to what it is, and then
so like wings, heads, little ducks, whatever.
Sure.
You sort them all out.
Yeah, I mean, when I was doing this process, I did. I haven't done it for a while, so now they're just all a jumble in a drawer. But I would sort them out, like animal parts, people parts, would be in like different little containers so that I could be like, oh, I need a head or an arm, and
wow, and it's just available to you, like picking up like a paintbrush or
right. Yeah.
So tell me about this cat. I love the a hairless cat is sort of a controversial animal just in its existence. So I love that you've beautifully, soulfully created this hairless cat.
Yeah, I have a tendency to use certain animals in my work, and some I don't really go near that much, cats are a big one for me, and they're just so interesting because again they have that same, you know, they're cute and they're cuddly. They're also sneaky and they're sort of manipulative.
They resent
and they're
your love
cunning.
sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's a really interesting creature to me. And like a hairless cat is just, I think that's my phone. So
Oh.
sorry.
Well, now we get to learn about your ringtone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just so like ugly, and sort of endearing at the same time somehow.
Have you ever pet a hairless cat? I haven't.
I've never met one in real life. I would love to.
Well, anybody out there who has a hairless cat, I bet Renee would love to just say hi and give it a little smooth.
Absolutely.
However you do that to make the cat happy.
Yep.
So these are your voodoo dolls?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what 4 people in your life have you cursed using these dolls?
So this was my best friend and roommate at the time, who I had a falling out with,
And has no pin stuck in.
oh yeah, I mean she must have lost her pins at some point. I think at some point they all had pins, but yeah, that was her. I was really mad at her. So that's what it started with, and then this was my brother, who actually, after I decided I wanted to do a series, I asked him and he volunteered his hair.
Wow, that's your brother's hair?
It was blue at the time, but now it's kind of gray because it was 1998.
So he helped you create it and you still stuck the pin in?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
And then I think, I don't know that these two actually have a person. Like this one was actually my hair, I believe. And then I'm not sure. I don't know.
Wow.
That was a long time ago.
Emily Davidson had a hairless cat.
Oh, Emily
she really?
Davidson. Oh, that's really interesting. See, and it says something about a person when they take in a hairless cat.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to have one. But,
Yeah, I think I could see you having a hairless cat in your life.
yeah.
In your bag, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Nice. So yeah, these are really interesting. I love that for these, you found the eyes. Did you find them or did you create them or?
That was actually something that's been reoccurring in my work, like pretty much ever since this piece was made, not consistently, but periodically, is the glass or acrylic eyes. So like, for example, like you can see in the cat that was made in 2018, it has acrylic eyes. And so these were actually stuffed animal eyes.
Oh yeah, I see that now.
Yeah, and so that was the first time that I used that, and I just really liked it.
Oh, that's great. So this is the oldest piece in the show, and this is the beginning of that whole process of you using the eyes.
Yep.
And I feel like this piece is very different than the others in some ways. Is it a puzzle?
No, it's not really a puzzle. It's just I wanted that sort of pieced together look in the space in between the pieces, and I wanted certain things to pop out further than others to give it like more of the dimensionality that I was looking for. So that's what I was kind of thinking with that. I thought it would be more interesting if I cut it apart and then like made some things come forward and others go back than if I had just drawn and painted it on a slab.
Well, why don't we head over this way? Should we take a look? You were talking about cats, and are these cats and kittens and adorable kind of puggish dogs?
Yeah, they're cats and dogs.
Ooh, let's get on in here through our time we are. I have a different setup here. Here we go. Okay, so this is the piece on the poster.
Yeah.
Did you choose the poster, or did Shane pick the poster?
Shane
Here,
picked that.
Oh, okay. And some of the women seem like they may be autobiographical. Does it reference you?
I think everything references me, you know? I mean, I'm not trying to be like, it's all about me, but it's all about me. In one way or another. But yeah, very, like, these works very much. So, you know, so this piece has kind of, was part of an ongoing theme for me, where I was talking about these sort of female stereotypes where you're supposed to be a certain way and look a certain way and act a certain way, and then being like overwhelmed by that. So it was just, I mean, to put it really simply, it's like somebody's just being overwhelmed by these cute ideas of like how they should be or behave.
Yeah, that expectation of chipper cuteness.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love how it comes up the wall. Is this always installed the same way, or does it look different in other places?
No, it's always pretty much the same way.
And they're tumbling down?
Yep, that's the idea. Yeah.
And this one too, I feel like the eyes of the woman, as well as the eyes of each animal, each cat and each, I don't know what breed of dog that is, but each cute doggy. Yeah, I feel like the more you look at the piece, the more everyone is staring back at you in this sort of way.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I think that gaze is important. I like to have my work that confront you, you know, with the eyes especially.
Yeah, I feel like this is a great piece for being confronted with uncomfortable gaze from adorable items. Except the woman in the middle, she doesn't really gaze at you.
No.
Yeah,
No.
she's gazing away. She gazes up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Should we go to some ducks, or should we look at some work on the wall?
Whatever you want.
All right. Well, I feel like we saw the ducks that you had in that very first piece we looked at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But are these standalone ducks? These are individuals, or how do these fit into the narrative of your ducks?
They were in a grouping, and it was the kind of like the green ones on one side and the orange ones on the other side, and they were sort of like squaring off against one another. I think it was more than anything just an excuse for me to make more ducks, because I really loved that mold.
I mean, I think you shouldn't need an excuse to make more ducks.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
And all the orange ones have a star, and all the green ones have a heart.
Right.
Yeah.
And so again, I mean, it's like, you're not like us, sort of a thing, you know?
But exactly like us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that old Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at this piece on the wall. Did you do this when you were artist in residence at the YEM, the Yellowstone Art Museum?
I think I did that. I think I completed that one just before.
Oh, just before.
Yeah. I think. Yep.
So there are a lot of teeth, right? Images of teeth. We can see the teeth in this woman. And did you create the teeth right here?
No, those are real teeth.
Those are real teeth. Are those Renee Audette teeth?
No.
Found teeth.
I had people donate teeth.
That sounds ominous.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
And did you have the idea and that led to the donation, or did the donation of teeth lead you to create this piece? Do you remember?
I have always collected teeth a little bit, like when I can. Like if I can get my hands on some teeth, I'm a real happy girl. But
You hear that, everybody out there in Facebook land? Renee Audette can get some real human teeth.
I really like teeth.
Animal teeth as well, or just human teeth?
I prefer human teeth, but animal teeth are cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I started this piece and I was working on it, and then I just kind of started asking around because I knew I wanted some true human teeth, and I found out that a lot of people had dental work. Children's teeth fell out, and they were happy to give them to me. This one, this gold one, I actually got with a whole batch of like other like costume jewelry and
Really?
trinkets and knickknacks and stuff from this woman that I knew when I used to work at Good Earth Market for a time, and she was like, I just brought you this stuff because I knew you would love it. And I was like, I do, thank you, you know?
Wow.
Yeah, so.
And there was a gold tooth.
There was a
like
gold-
literally a treasure.
Yeah, there was a gold tooth in there, so yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So there are a lot of bunnies in your work too. You said there are certain animals like cats, and do you consider bunnies another one of those animals?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Bunnies are really important to me. I'm not entirely sure why. I mean, it's like I know that like for part of it is it's like a symbol of sexuality, you know? And I don't know. They're again like they're like these really adorable creatures, but they're kind of insidious in a way, you know?
How are bunnies insidious? I haven't had an insidious bunny experience yet.
Well, I had them growing up, and they're they're fairly insidious. I mean, first of all, like they're trying to hump everything all the time, which is, I mean, that's not necessarily insidious in itself, but they bite and they scratch, and they're kind of these filthy little animals.
Wow.
I don't know.
Although it doesn't look like a filthy animal right here, the way you've depicted this bunny.
No,
or
but
these
look
bunnies.
at the look in his eye.
Yeah, that's not a hug me, cuddle me kind of look. No, there's a lot more happening there. Yeah.
Exactly.
And these collages, I mean, it just seems like anything you can make art from, especially if it's a little bit figurative, a little bit cute, or a little bit disturbing, you've made art from it. So what made you delve into collage?
I don't know. I just get bored a lot and like want to do something different. And like collage is so interesting to me because you can, again, it's like this sort of repetitive activity that I really enjoy. You know, you can just cut paper. Who doesn't like cutting paper?
Yeah. Or tear it.
And
yeah.
tear paper. Yeah, and then piece it together and build something. I think like at my core as an artist, I'm a builder. And that's why I'm so drawn to sculpture, and that's what I was trained as initially, is because I love building something. So collage to me feels like building.
2D building.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's take a look at our friend right here, because she looks like she's part of a process of building and taking away.
Yeah, so that's another one of those pieces that I made that wasn't part of the same series, but on the same vein, with breaking the ceramic found figures apart and then putting them back together in a different way. And it also has that twin aspect to it that I have always gone back to again and again, which like talks about kind of dueling parts of a single personality. So it's not, necessarily two people. It's just like this is this other side of me that I'm sort of fighting against, kind of idea.
And when you show twins in your work, I've seen a lot of conjoined twins. Is the theme more of twins overarching and sometimes they're conjoined, or do you usually depict conjoined twins?
No, I mean it's both. It just depends on what I'm feeling about the composition, like how I'm wanting to put something together. Sometimes it feels like it's calling for more of a conjoined twin, and other times it feels like it's more of like I want, well, like for example, you know, like one person standing behind the other person in this sort of ominous sort of way, you know.
Like a bunny would stand behind you in that ominous way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Let's see if we can come over and take a look at this piece. A close-up on this piece right here? That's a perfect time.
There was. Missed it.
All
We got
right.
it
So
on the side.
while our audience gets an extra close-up on this piece, insidiously, we will be sneaking behind the cameras and moving to yet another piece. So why don't we take a look at this piece here? Let's see, where should we stand? I'll come around the back, just so everybody can see it. I am tethered. And, okay, and then
Where
if
do you
you
want me?
come a little closer so we can
Okay.
share our microphone,
Yeah.
but still practice some safety. Here we go. Yeah. So these are flocked as well. Flocked and furry.
Yes.
Flocked and furry pink bunnies. You just spoke about, you know, fertility, sexuality, insidiousness, cuteness. And then we have this woman here who's the center of everything again. Is this another piece about the expectations of women?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And you talked before too about how much skin you show on the woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she has a lot of her skin exposed.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. Yeah. And she's also more of a more voluptuous figure, you know, and she's like a little chubbier. And so, you know, some of it has to do with body image expectations as well. And just sort of these, I guess, unwanted sexual expectations.
When the clothes come off and when the curves come out.
Yeah.
And then the bunnies, all pink in this one.
Yeah.
I just realized in the piece we looked at a minute ago, all the little cute animals were blue.
Yeah.
In this one, it's pink. Is that talking about the stereotypes of colors?
Not necessarily. Not in those two. No. It's more, I think it was more just like these ones felt like they needed to be pink. Those ones felt like they needed to be blue. And, you know, I just would always try to work in pastels when I was kind of talking about these same sorts of things, because that seems like appropriate to the, you know, there's almost like this infantilizing issue about women, you know?
Yeah.
And like these pastel colors kind of talk to me about that.
Well, yeah, it's like as a woman, sometimes if you want something like boxing gloves or a gun, they'll have a pink one just for you.
Sure, of course.
And
right.
that's so sweet of them to make that special
Isn't
one
that
for
nice?
us.
Isn't that nice?
It's smaller, less powerful, and pink.
And pink.
Yeah. And I like how you use the same landscape as that first piece we looked at with the really small flowers and this green. It almost looks, I don't know if it's intentional. It reminds me a little bit of like an inflatable tube in a pool.
Oh, no,
Like she
not
could
at
be
all, but
floating.
I'm totally getting that now. Yeah.
I mean, the other one
I
doesn't
can
make me think of
definitely
that.
see that. Yeah, yep.
And she's like one of those bathing beauties from those old movies,
Uh-huh.
you know, that are always doing that synchronized swimming. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it kind of conjures that up for me a little bit as well.
So these flowers, if I can talk about them for just a minute, I don't know if it's interesting or not, but they are, so that's a slip dipping process. The slip is just liquid clay, you know, and so I would just take.
Did you move it around again too, so everyone can see?
I would take false flowers just from like a craft store, and then
Those fabricy plastic ones?
yeah, just the fabric ones. I'd take the plastic bits off, and then dip them in the slip repeatedly. You know, let it dry a little bit each time, and just dip it repeatedly until it gets a thick coat on it. And then just when you fire them in the kiln, the fabric burns out.
Wow.
And the clay remains. So I got really into slip dipping for a while too. Yeah. I don't think I have any other slip dipped pieces here, but my mom's got some. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like as a ceramic artist, you know, there are some ceramic artists who they'll choose an approach. Like Peter Volkus, like a heavy earthen approach, or porcelain. But it seems like, especially when you were at Archie Bray and had access to so many types of ceramic work, that you just totally dove in and just explored everything.
It's really fun to experiment, I think, and you know, I know what I like and what I don't like. Like, I know what I'm not gonna do. You know, I know that I'm not going to make a bunch of pottery and then sit at a wood-fired kiln for 2 days where I have to be constantly stoking the fire and playing with the fire. You know, that's not interesting to me, you know. But I also know that there are so many different things that I do like to experiment with,
So if we can, I'm just going to pull on our little cord here a little bit. Yeah, if we can get over here. I feel like I first saw this piece when you were at the Yellowstone Art Museum. And I just love the combination of everything, of texture, of ideas, of 2D and 3D, of the frame. I feel like it's such an exciting piece. Is there a story? I mean, it's called Remembering Illinois. Does it have a story, or does it have like a spark that led to this piece?
Yeah, it does. Actually, so I made this. This was one that was also completed just shortly before my residency started. And the story behind it is like one of my earliest memories is living in Illinois. My brother, who is 2 years older than me, we used to go wandering out in the woods because people did that in the 80s. And they let the kids do that in the 80s. And it was like this woods behind our house, and I'm sure it was quite small, but it felt like it was enormous, and it was absolutely magical.
Life in terms of a place you've been.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that kind of redwood scaled tree, and how you say you think it's probably a little teeny tiny patch of
I
woods.
think it probably was, yeah.
And I love there's organs and hearts in there. There's lungs, hearts, and then that heart right on the deer. Is that the deer?
Yeah. Yeah.
And somebody smoking off to the side.
She's not supposed to be smoking. She's supposed to be breathing. It's like a chilly night. And so it's supposed to be, but I realized after I painted it, I was like, that totally looks like she's smoking, and then there's lungs. But yeah.
And
So I was like, that's fine.
And then when you say she's not supposed to be smoking, I feel like you're saying she's not allowed to be smoking.
Well, she's
in that
not.
picture.
She's
Yeah.
absolutely not. She's like 8.
You put her out there for breathing, and she totally went against your expectations for a very cute, well-behaved girl.
Yeah.
Wow, it all comes back. Well, I feel like we've made a rotation of the gallery. We've seen a lot of the work.
So I got a couple things here.
Oh, do we have some comments?
Krista Elizabeth loves the term slip dipping. She thinks it's a great term.
Awesome.
Yes.
And
Sure.
or that piece on the bottom that's kind of a collection of pottery.
Over on the old shelving unit? Is that where we
Next
should?
to reconstruction.
Yes. I am plotting my path with our corded microphone. I think we're going to come this way. We Uh-oh. Oh. Here. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes at Kirks Grocery, and this evening there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes.
There are many cords.
Yeah. So we're coming back over here.
Focus on both the reconstructions and then the bottom shelf character.
So why don't we stand to the side a little bit so that, oh, are we in your way?
No, you're.
Oh, it's a complex.
Close up on the bottom shelf.
Oh, yeah, we're all corded here. It's a funny night because here at Kirks you may think we're wireless, but tonight we are totally corded, and it makes it even more exciting. So, Renee, as we take a really close look on Facebook at that piece, so you said that's also from when you were in Panama City?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
As a visiting artist, you said, or as a visiting professor?
Both.
And so what were you teaching while you were there?
I was teaching painting. I was teaching art history class, and what was the third one? It was a while ago. It's slipping my mind right now. Oh, 2D design.
And for people who don't know, not only has Renee been a professor in Panama City, Florida, she has also been a professor here in Billings, up at MSUB.
Yeah.
And anywhere else on your CV as a professor?
Yeah, Santa Fe Community College, and that's misleading because it's not in Santa Fe. It was in Gainesville, Florida.
Oh, is it also not a community college?
No, it is
University?
also a community college. Yeah.
So, yeah, and this piece, so as we look at it kind of from the side, is that also an actual beaver pelt or the pelt of an animal to create that one?
Yeah,
And so is that the beaver pelt?
I think so. Yes. Yep.
I love how you've combined it with that piece.
That's weird.
And Shane says, that's weird.
It's
Yeah.
super weird.
It's super weird because it almost becomes a little bit cuter by rupturing it and forcibly stuffing it with an animal pelt.
Mm-hmm.
It's very disconcerting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really very comfortable. That was also supposed to be a part of a series. I had these lovely figurines that my friend had given me because she just knew I would love them. And I had 3 of them, and I broke them apart, and 2 of them I just hated what happened with them, and I ended up throwing them away. And now I wish I hadn't, because sometimes you just need to look at something later. And then this little one's just been hanging around forever, and I never thought I was going to do anything with it. And then I was looking at some of my older work, and I was like, I don't know, I kind of love this gross thing in a weird way.
Yes. I also love this gross thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that because you're a ceramic artist, a lot of your work is very physically solid. Like you could walk up and kind of knock on it. And this, even though it has that figurine element to it, it just, it seems soft and as if you would pick it up and it would fall apart.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it delicate?
No, it's pretty solid. It's all glued together really well. Yeah.
That's interesting because it looks like you'd have to be very careful handling it, like it's very fragile.
Yeah, no, not really.
And so did we have a request to take a look at another piece that we haven't seen?
Reconstruction right behind you, and then we can end up.
Okay, so right.
It's on the shelf right behind you.
Oh, right
That
there.
one, I
oh,
think,
yeah. Let's come right over here.
Someone just really liked Me versus Me, and it was already sold, so I said we'd go back to some broken up.
Okay. So, so we're going to go back over to reconstruction.
We don't have to talk about a bunch of them.
Yeah,
Sure.
we can stand right over here. And then we can also take a look at.
Yeah, you can wrap it up whenever you want. I mean, really.
So, how about to wrap it up, we talk about right next to Reconstruction with its beautiful wing and its sort of bulbous, reconstructed form.
Mm-hmm.
We have
I'm gonna just adjust that.
this piece right here. And what are they? Are they dreaming?
Yeah. So this one is called "It Gets In While You Sleep," and it's sort of again like this idea about the actual person, and then sort of like, I don't know if doppelganger is really the right word, but like the shadow person, the other side, the dark side, whatever. And so sometimes I'll use this sort of thing where I will make the one figure like flesh toned,
Mhm.
and then like the shadow figure or whatever, either in achromatic, so like black and white or sepia tone. And so that's kind of what I was doing there with those.
And so when you're sleeping, your guard is down,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the other can creep in.
Yeah.
So Renee, it's been great to talk to you about your work today. I
Oh.
love this exhibition. Super, super excited about it when I saw it when I came back into town. Is there anything that you haven't had a chance to say that you want to share?
I don't believe so. I think I've talked quite enough.
And Shane DeLeon, is there anything we need to shout out for that's coming up?
Well, I'm gonna get on screen here first a little bit.
Oh.
I think that it's coming up to be a holiday for some people, and I don't know if we have any live streams at least. Oh no, next Tuesday we got a live stream, Mary.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what's going on next Tuesday. We're doing that back room. If you want to get Nicholas, or not Nicholas, but Jackson to walk in the back room just to show the camera, and we'll fade out. Thanks so much, Renee Audette.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everybody in Facebook land. We'll see you on Tuesday for our backroom live stream.
Okay, we're gonna just go out.
All right, we're going to fade out.
Fade out. There we go. Take it live.
Whoa.